guys, it's Becky. I thought I'd do just a quick video here because I'm going to get ready to make some sourdough. Now, when I do my sourdough, it actually takes at least 24 hours. I like to do a really long fermentation, and I do my fermentation in the fridge, which slows it down and it gives it a really great flavor. So I'm going to start out. I've got my sourdough starter, and I started this back in the 1st of September. It actually took me quite a while to get a good starter going. I had many failed attempts, and this is one of those things that you just got to keep trying, and then you'll finally kind of get it. So I'll show you what I've got it down to, a bit of an art now. So I'll show you my starter. You can see I fed this yesterday, and when I talk about feeding, oh my gosh, I wish you could smell that. When you talk, ooh, it's really strong today. When I talk about feeding your sourdough, you can see all of the beautiful bubbles in there. I don't use any commercial yeast at all. And the reason that, and I actually don't personally eat bread very much myself. Maybe once every week or 2 weeks, I'll have a little slice with dinner. I'm just not a bread eater. It puts weight on me real quick, even this. But there are a lot of people that have trouble with digestion. And hey, Crystal, oh, great to see you. Yeah, I know, I love it too. It just doesn't love me. I actually make crackers, and I enjoy having some crackers with it. I'll show you that recipe another time. This is just the basics of getting started with sourdough. One of the things you want to do is have a very good quality flour. I get, I'm here in British Columbia, I get something called Anita's flour. I go right to the mill in Chilliwack, and I'm able to get that organic flour right from there. Hey, Ruth, I'm going to show you how to get some sourdough started. So anyways, you got to get your starter. And what is a sourdough starter? It's just flour and water. That really is all it is. And it just needs some time. When you're using a good quality flour, what you're doing is getting the bacteria built up in here. It just creates its own little, it's crazy. Because when I did this one, it was down to about here, and then it inflates. And so if anybody's close to me, I can give you a starter. Just ask me for that. But you can make your own. You can buy starters as well. All right. Now, again, the reason that I like sourdough and I like giving that to my son, my husband, I give it to friends around here because I love to bake, and we don't eat enough of it to, I have to give some away. My freezer's not that big, but it's much easier. It's almost like getting bread that's been pre-digested. So if you have IBS, this is definitely the kind of bread that you want to be consuming, because it's just so much easier on your system. So I weigh everything. So you just need a little scale. This is how I love to do it. And I do everything in my Mix Master. There's no kneading involved in this. It's a really simple recipe. So you just want to start out. I'm just going to weigh the starter and the water and the flour. I'm just going to get that. And I do it in grams. And I make 2 loaves at a time. Okay, so you can cut this recipe in half if you want to. So I'm just going to start with that beautiful starter that's been fed. You want an active starter, and I'll show you after how I feed this as well. So I'm going to do 300 grams of the starter. If you're just making a single loaf, again, cut this in half. All right, so just measure that out, and I'll get to the 300. When I first started doing recipes that you needed to weigh, I thought, oh my gosh, why can't they just do it in cups? I'm telling you, now I get annoyed when I have to measure stuff with a cup. It's just so much easier just to stick this on a scale and do that. There we go. I'm at like 303. That's fine. I'll actually, right away, I'll show you how I'm going to refeed this. I could go ahead, there's enough in here that I can make another recipe, but I'm just going to quickly show you. I don't measure anymore for this either. I'm just going to feed it some. So I'm just going to fill that up with a bit of that flour. I get Anita's 60/40 Baker's Blend. I don't have the package for it anymore right now, or I'd tell you what it was. But again, if you're local, Lickman Road out in Chilliwack, there's a market there, and they actually house Anita's mills. So I just added a bit of warm water to that, just until, I don't like it to be too runny. You want to be a bit more precise if you're starting out a starter till you get it going. A little bit more. So I'm just adding, again, I'm just catching up here. I'm refeeding my starter. And so you just keep this going. Anytime you want to share some of this with a friend, you just take a little bit of it, and I always feed it then before I give. I just dropped one off with my good friend Linda Tapler yesterday, and I just put a little bit of this and some flour and water. You can see, I'll show you what it looks like then after it's been fed. Again, it's not, in this part of it certainly isn't so much. So there we go. And I always leave this out. If you're going away, or if you're only baking every once in a while, you can actually just pop that in the fridge. When you put things in the fridge, anything that's fermented, once you put it in the fridge, it just really slows down the fermentation. But I always keep mine out on the counter. I bake a couple of times a week. And I just feed it every 24, 48 hours. If you put it in a fridge, you can leave it up to about a week. Okay, so I've got my starter. And now I'm going to add 700 grams of warm water. This is just, I'm really blessed where I am here. I can just use tap water because we don't have any chlorination. But you can use bottled water. Or I've also heard that people will leave their water out and the chlorine. It just depends on your water source. You've got to kind of figure that out for yourself. A lot of people will use spring water. So I'm just taking this up to a little bit to 711, my lucky numbers. So bring that back down. 704. There we go. Right at 700. Okay, so I've got my starter and I've got my warm water. Grab my whisk and I just take that and I stir those two ingredients just to get those combined really well before I add the flour. Oh, hey, Lori. Yeah, me too, Lori. And homemade is the best. Unfortunately, when we buy any of these things, sourdough bread, kefir, sauerkraut, like lots of stuff, when you buy it commercially, by law, they have to pretty well kill everything in it that's beneficial. So easy to do these things at home, and it just costs pennies. People think I've spent a lot of time making bread, but this is the only part of it that I actually spend a lot of time on. Most of it is just waiting. I'm going to put that back down to 0. And again, this recipe calls for 1,000 grams. So it's 500 for each. So again, the measurements were, I'm making 2 loaves. It is 300 grams of the starter, nice fed starter. It is 700 grams of warm water that's not chlorinated. Again, I'm blessed I can get that right out of my tap. And 1,000 grams of flour. So we're going to do what's called, loosely, this method is called autolyse. It's not really. Autolyse is normally just flour and water, I believe. We're doing the starter in this one. And this is a no-knead bread. I just do it in the mix master. There we go. Exactly 1,000 grams right there. I'm just going to flatten that out. I've got a little mini mix master, just big enough to do 2 loaves. So I'm just going to put the kneading attachment on there. Put this right up in there. Attach that. Make sure you've got that locked down. And I'm just going to do it, first of all, on the speed 1 to get that going. My mix master, because it's a little mini, because I live in a small house, just enough for this, but it's actually not quite big enough, so I have to kind of knock off the flour on the top. And we want to get this to just where it's incorporated. Again, I'm not going to bake this bread until tomorrow. We're going to the Eagles concert tonight. Celebrate my birthday from yesterday. This will be the 3rd time I'm seeing the Eagles in the past year. Sure wish I would have seen them when Glenn Frey was still alive, but if you're in the Vancouver area, there are still some tickets available. We just bought ours a couple of days ago. I blessed enough that I got some really good price on them. The 5th row in the center, right on the floor. We went to LA last summer with our friends Lisa and Jeff and met up with some other people down there. And then we also went down in Seattle, and saw them. Glenn Fry's son, Deacon, was singing with the band, and Vince Gill, who I love. Anyway, so this is just about all incorporated. And then I'm actually going to have to come back in about 20 minutes. What can I tell you? What am I doing here? What else am I doing? Oh, you guys ever had jicama? This is, I don't even know where this is from. I should do a little bit more investigation. But we try to find things that are really good that will feed our gut's microbiome. And this is one of those things. I never even noticed these before, but I'll show you what I do. I just slice it. It kind of has the texture of an apple. I just do it like that. I actually leave the peel on. Eat it just like an apple. Really good for your gut. Okay. All right. So that's good for now. I'm going to come back in about 20 minutes and show you what I do then. I'm just going to add some salt to it. But we want the water and the flour to incorporate together now. And yeah, I'll be back in about 20 minutes to add the salt to that and then show you what I'm going to do for the rest of it. Okay, talk soon.